And we are live. So, welcome to episode 2, book 2 of Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass review. And the title of the episode is called Psalms. In the house tonight, I've got Eric from Hey Internet. Eric here.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me once again. Yeah, of course, as always. I think, as always, part of the allure of doing this is partnering up with someone who hasn't seen this series before.
Right.
And so it's the same with, on Sundays, seeing Penny Dreadful with Gore. And so, of course, this idea of seeing it through your eyes here. And I know that we were both just watching the episode before we went on.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
This episode, I thought it was really good. Again, we're just getting bits and pieces. The mystery is still there.
Yes.
We're learning more backstory on relationships.
Yes.
And I have no idea where the hell this is going.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear.
We'll get into it, but I had some thoughts of certain characters last episode, and now they're starting to change a little bit.
Okay, so things haven't cemented for you.
Correct. And like I said, I'm doing this totally blind.
Right.
No Wikipedia, no trailers, no nothing. So I do not know what I'm jumping into episode per episode.
That is the way to go, my friend. Okay. So, here we are watching Midnight Mass, a classic horror series from Mike Flanagan, and you and I are both Flanagan fans.
Yes, sir.
We start off where the last episode ended, which is with a beach full of dead cats.
Yeah.
Which is, when you think about it, it makes our tastes somewhat questionable. But here we are just the same, investigating a beach full of dead fucking cats. And you've got the sheriff sort of trying to get to the bottom of it, but there really is no answer to this sort of mystery. What did you think of what happened here?
Well, I was at first, I was wondering what it was, because I didn't know if it was poison, because this episode I found it was like an oil spill or something, because I don't know if they mentioned it last episode, but an oil spill is what caused, the problem.
It was mentioned. There's been an oil spill. A metric ton of oil has been spilled off the coast of this hick sort of fishing town. It sort of crippled the town. You find out that the Beverly character, that miserable buzzard, convinced a lot of people to take the money from the oil company, which sort of ruined the town, because the people that seem to have taken the money just left.
Yep. And
the town that was once in the hundreds, now in the dozens, is full of the people who did not take the money.
Right. And what I was wondering, like at first, that's what I was thinking, that, maybe it was that. But then when Sharif, I love how he's the sheriff, but his name is Sharif. That's just funny as shit. But he's talking to, I believe that's the mayor.
Yes.
And what I love about Flanagan is these guys are so close, but he keeps the camera spinning. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a good effect, because to me, it kind of showed how this is like an intense moment without being intense. It's going to lead up to bigger things. And what I really liked is, because now we're keeping the mystery going, we know it's not oil related, because I believe Sharif, when he lifted up one of the cats, he said his neck was broken.
Yes, the necks are broken. They're sort of ripped up, torn to pieces a little bit here and there. It looks, they've got a couple pieces missing here and there. But the mayor seems to be a character who is just trying to keep the volume down, so to speak, on it. He's not necessarily interested in truth. He's interested more in peace and quiet.
Yeah, he doesn't want a panic to happen because he's afraid maybe, in my opinion, I think he's afraid more people will leave the town.
Yes, he's afraid more people will leave the town. I think that's accurate. He's also, and you know me.
Mhm.
We've been going at this. We're now in our third year of
Mhm.
putting these sorts of streams together. I'm the last person to call this out, but he, along with other people in the town, are kind of low key racist. I picked up on that because the sheriff is a Muslim.
Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah, go ahead. I picked it up too.
Yeah, I picked it up because the sheriff is like, well, I mean, the mayor is like, well, if you came to mass,
Mhm.
every once in a while, that would sort of allay people's concerns and,
It would make
anxieties about
it would
you.
make you look good. Yeah,
Yes.
he always, and it's kind of like, what it made me think of, because he's being disrespectful by trying to air quotes not be disrespectful. It's like, when someone says makes a crack about someone being homosexual, but I'm okay with that. There's nothing wrong with it. They have to
Right.
follow up with that. So
It's
he's
Seinfeld.
yeah, he's saying that, I understand your religious beliefs, your practices, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you should come to but you
Not
should
that
come
there's
to
anything wrong with
mass.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should come to mass and
Yeah.
put your best foot forward, make how would it, the townspeople feel more comfortable around you, type of thing.
Right. As opposed to, like, why is this a conversation at all?
Yeah, who cares? You're on a beach full of dead
Dead
cats, and
cats.
you're
What the
worried about
fuck does
him
being
coming to
Muslim
church.
have to do with any of it?
Yeah.
I mean, having lived in large populations of the Muslim world, having lived in large populations of the Hindu world, and
Hmm.
like, it's not a thread of conversation that needs to be,
Discussed.
sort of begun.
Hmm.
Like, why is this coming up at all? But these people, now measured in the dozens, are so cemented in their ways
Hmm.
that, now
Routine.
you've
Yep.
got this, cop from New York who happens to be a Muslim, and I'm sure in New York, it's, absolutely no issue whatsoever.
Hmm.
But to them, he's just this outsider.
Yeah. It's not the norm.
No, no, it's not the norm at all, and they desperately want to normalize him.
Hmm.
He can't be himself. He has to be normalized, which means that he has to attend mass,
Right.
so on and so forth. And we saw that in the first episode with the son hanging out with the other kids.
Hmm.
And I think one of the guys called him Aladdin, or
Aladdin. They call him
Aladdin
Aladdin.
or Ali. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And these sorts of things. So they struggle with that,
Hmm.
and you can tell that the son very much wants to belong,
Absolutely.
as any teenager absolutely would.
And that's why
So
he's helping his dad with getting the gas canisters to burn the cat so there's no diseases.
yeah, and so this sort of thing goes on. Um, we come back to mass, and Father Paul is conducting a nice mass here.
He's actually dressed in green. He did it right this time.
He's dressed in green. That's right, Beverly. Thank God. I won't be on his ass about that. Thank goodness. But you can tell that these people that are here on daily mass,
Hmm.
and daily mass is kind of a specific thing. Like, I don't know how much you're aware of this, but like, you have to be extraordinarily devout
Okay.
to participate in daily mass. In Catholicism, it's considered a sin to miss Sunday mass or Saturday evening mass. If you make Saturday evening, you don't have to go on Sunday. But to go to daily mass every day, every day, the ceremony, every day, the ritual is considered extraordinarily devout. And you can see by the people that are there, you've got one old woman over here on the right.
Hmm.
And then you've got one, young girl here in a wheelchair, Lisa.
Yep.
And you've got her mother.
Hmm.
And so you can tell that these people are, you can see a much older person wanting to go every day.
Right.
So maybe that's the way they've been brought up, or maybe later in life that they've caught on to it. But you can see with the girl in the wheelchair that is something that they're clinging to.
Yeah, and as we learn her backstory, it made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, she has been shot. uh it's kind of an accident, a drunk guy, Joe, I think his
Yep.
name is Joe,
Yeah.
shot her quite accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting drunk and firing his gun off, and he accidentally shot this young girl, and now she's paralyzed and in a wheelchair, from the waist down, it seems. So you could see why that type of family would have that sort of response to things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're still getting an introduction to what type of town this is.
Right.
And it is, what's your opinion of the town?
Uh, like I said last week, it's just one of those, like, we have a couple of these towns in my area, to the west and to the east of us. It's one of those podunk 200 people, everybody knows everybody type of town. And this also, to me, it seems kind of like a town of routine, because like you said, when with Sharif and his son, they're the outsiders. Ooh, there's something new. We don't like change, so let's make them part of us. So that's what it seemed like to me. And like I said, it's just, and this isn't knocking religion, but it's like it's a routine. Lisa and her mom, it's a major commitment to the daily mass, and so on and so forth. But then everyone shows up on Sunday type of thing. So that's just what it seemed like to me. Everyone knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's secrets, and it's just routine. And when something different happens, they don't like it.
I got the impression that it's very much a situation where people are whistling past the graveyard. That it's very much a community in decline.
Yeah, that's for sure.
These you've got a couple of people that are desperately holding on to, faith,
Hmm.
in the face of these tragedies.
It's like that's all they
So
have is their faith.
yeah, that's all that they have.
Hmm.
It's very sort of sad, especially when you find out that one of the main church um, functionaries, I guess would be a good word for it, is Beverly,
Hmm.
who is just, and I think it came across much more tangibly in this episode. She is just a mean and evil
She
bitch.
would.
She
This
is,
scene here when she was now. I'm bad with names, but when she was talking to the pregnant woman,
yes,
and she was just browbeating her and talking,
Aaron.
Aaron. She was making her feel this small just by comparing her to her mom. Because, oh, your mom would never just throw out the empty Windex bottles. She did this and she did this, and obviously, everyone knows everybody, so she knows that Aaron's mom was an alcoholic, had the alcohol problems. That's why Aaron made that comment about my mom never left an empty bottle. But it's just like, you do something wrong, Beverly is going to make sure you don't forget it, and you feel incredibly bad about it.
Yeah, and it's simply a reason to sort of continue to establish her dominance over people.
Hmm.
No matter what it is, she's going to find a way to keep you on the back foot,
Hmm.
you know, as much as is possible.
What I
Um,
like about this actress's performance, Beverly, is
yeah,
she's very
she's
cool.
good.
She's very good. She's very good, and I kind of like these characters. Like, I'll use Stephen King for an example. When the religious, I want to say, at least as of right now, like these religious zealot characters, they do very, again, less is more. She has such a low key performance.
Yeah.
So far, she's never raised her voice, but she's
Nope.
so fucking intimidating.
Yeah.
That
Everybody's scared of her.
Yes, this little old lady who, well, not old, but this middle-aged lady who, honestly, if you just blew on her, she'd fall right over.
Yeah. It never
But sh
occurs to
but
anybody.
she's the one with the biggest balls in the room. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And this actress is so good at this.
Yeah, she is.
I love to
She
hate
is.
her.
You're right. Yeah, and that's a sign like the conversation that I had with Rod back in the day on Underwater with Vincent Cassell.
Mm-hmm.
That means she's doing her job.
Yeah.
She's doing her job. And what occurred to me in the middle of all that was that she was obviously getting that poison to kill her dog, to kill that dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I knew that the minute I saw, like I haven't seen this in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I remember the major points, but the small points, have sort of, gone away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're gonna poison that fucking dog, you evil fucking whore.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, that's what we end up getting to. Go ahead.
That was, I mean, I didn't think that then because I didn't remember if she had an incident with the dog in the previous episode or not.
She
But
did with Joe, and she proclaimed to be very scared of the dog. And Joe, remember when he gets out of the jail and the dog's been waiting for him outside the jail, and she goes past, and she's like, "That dog snapped at me," and he's like,
"That's right,"
he's barking.
Yeah,
you're walking past. That's what dogs do. They bark. But no, that's not good enough.
But
that's not good enough.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. But once we get, it's just such a heartbreaking scene. It really is. Once we get past that scene and Sharif questions her, there's no doubt about it.
Obvious.
She's so
cold.
Obvious. She's so cold.
Yeah.
She doesn't give two shits.
And presenting it in such a way that, like, she knows she's covered her ass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I did put some of that out, and I just feel terrible.
Yeah.
Are you sure that that's exactly what happened? And I'm like, you're just an evil.
And what is good at that is like that type of person, she's doing that mock sympathy, but then she does her best to try to reflect it because she says, well, we just store the stuff here. Anybody can get it. Sheriff, you yourself just walked in. You know what I mean? So
she's got the bases covered.
She's talking, and she's talking down to him. This is the man of the law. And she's just like, I don't care who you are. I'm running the show between the two of us right now.
She is and she isn't, because I got the impression, well, obviously the sheriff knows. Yeah. He's a New York City cop.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just looking at her like, I know. And she knows that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
But she's done it in such a way that she's covered her tracks,
mm-hmm.
To prove any sort of deliberate intention.
Right.
And it's such a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's looking at her. You can tell by the way he's looking at her. He's like, I know exactly what you've done here.
That look on his face, you're so full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, she's covering her tracks, like you said, because if he's ever questioned, she made the point that anybody can walk in and use it, type of thing.
She's admitted that she's laid it out.
Mm-hmm.
I put it out there. We've had some problems with this, that, and the other, and I'd feel terrible if it was,
yeah,
if that was what killed the dog. And it's just such an awful act.
Yeah.
Just to murder a dog like that.
Well, and that's what Joe said when he was crying. He said, I don't care that you people hate me. He says, I don't blame you. I hate myself, type of thing. But he said, this is a dog.
Yeah.
He's done nothing to anybody. Yeah. And I mean, it takes a certain type of piece of crap, you know what I mean, to do something like that to a defenseless animal.
I in a complex that I once lived in, someone had murdered a stray dog, poisoned it. And it's just, you've got to be a particular piece of shit. Mm-hmm. To do that kind of thing. And, she's just that type of person.
Yeah.
But, we come back to other things also. We come back to Annabeth Gish, who's, caring for her mother. And there's Father Paul, who shows up and said, hey, my understanding is your mother used to attend daily mass.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother's bedridden now. I can still, perform the mass here in your home. and if that provides some comfort to your mother, so on and so forth. How are you feeling about Father Paul?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Well, I mean, I'm not asking you to form based on what you've seen so far. What is your thinking?
I'm thinking the intentions are good. He seems like he wants to help, but there obviously is more to him that we've seen so far.
He's not just he's not just Father Paul.
Right.
There's a bit more to it than that. More, as we said last week, will be revealed.
Yeah, he seems like he truly cares. Faith is like the number one thing with him, obviously, with who he is. But he does seem like behind, being Father Paul, he does seem like a caring individual.
Yeah. And then we come back to Riley and Paul, having this conversation. Not Riley and Paul, Riley and, oh God, what's your name?
Aaron?
Aaron, excuse me. Riley and Aaron has taken over her mother's position. And it just must be such a nightmare in a way for her to be in this place where she doesn't want to be. He's in this place where he doesn't want to be. She's taken over her mother's old job as the school teacher.
Yep.
And it just must be like this very slow nightmare. But they have a really great scene together where, they're just kind of talking about how they feel without really laying it out there.
Oh, it's a great scene because, he's talking about, hey, she says, how was your day? Well, in prison, every day was the same thing. And so he's, basically saying, my life has been horrible. But then she goes into this kind of funny diatribe about, okay, well, I had morning sickness, and then I go to teach a bunch of kids who think you're stupid, and then I do this, and then I go have nighttime sickness, and then I do it all over again. So it's this fun banter between the two of them.
Yeah, and they're just, it's like they're just trying to adjust to the horror of things. Non-supernatural horror, but just both of them being in these awful places that they don't want to be in anymore.
Yeah, they're trapped.
Yeah, exactly. They're trapped in these places. And one of the things that I loved was seeing, well, Riley is still clearly seeing the ghost of the girl that he killed.
Yes.
Because again, we're seeing that specter, with the broken glass, just everywhere.
And what I love about when we see the broken specter, they still have like the police lights flashing on the side of her head.
Yeah.
So it looks so weird.
And one of the things that I also loved was that he's got a 7 poster.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
There on the wall. I'm like, holy shit, Flanagan's a Fincher fan or something like that, I don't know who the nod is, from exactly, but we've got a Fincher fan in the crowd. And, you and I have obviously talked about 7 before.
Yep.
So, that was good to see. We come to Ash Wednesday. And, this idea that, Father Paul is talking about the idea that, well, what was your thinking of Ash Wednesday?
I don't really know the religious aspects of it, but I did like how Riley wasn't going to do it, and he's been so against going to church, against dealing with the thought of God and religion. And I liked how this time his mom basically said, get up here and do this. And he begrudgingly did. So I did like that. And I did like how Paul, when he was doing the routine ritual, however you want to say it. Okay. I liked how
yeah.
Well,
no, we're just talking. It's you and me.
Yeah. I liked how when he did it to Riley, he said more than just the usual thing he's saying to each and every person. So it shows that he knows, or it shows that he wants to help him in more ways than just him going to mass every Sunday.
Yeah, and you're also seeing in the homily, in the sermon, so to speak,
Hmm.
that he connects with the parishioners by talking to them about fish. And he
Yes.
sort of lets them know that I'm aware that your town is struggling,
Hmm.
maybe on its last legs.
Hmm.
As fishermen, that God is going to restore these sorts of things to His faithful people. And you can see Henry Thomas when they talked about the fish and the nets.
Hmm.
He gives the hard swallow in his throat. There's a very subtle thing,
Hmm.
because Henry Thomas is playing a very stoic
Yes.
kind of dad here, but you can see he's moved
Hmm.
by Father Paul's words.
And that was very smart with what Father Paul did. Is he made his sermon relatable,
Yeah.
and that was very smart. Like, even to someone like me who is not a churchgoer, not religious at all, like that, it could make you look at it differently because you can relate to what he's saying.
Because all of the people in the town are desperate for restoration.
Hmm.
They want the old order of things brought back. They don't want the town to die. The people that are left in the town are the hardcore, locals.
Right.
They don't have anywhere else to go. They don't want to go anywhere else. They don't have the money to go anywhere else. They didn't
Hmm.
take the money from the deal, I guess, that Beverly was offering or the oil company was offering. So this is it for them.
Hmm.
Families with the Lisa, who's just
Yep.
suffered this horrible tragedy.
Hmm.
They don't have anywhere else to go. So it's a difficult time,
Hmm.
and they've got this new. And I was talking about this last week, how the pastor or the priest is kind of a community leader.
Hmm.
I mean, they're showing that Father Paul has instantly tapped into this feeling in the town intuitively,
Yeah.
because we haven't seen anything from Beverly, because she's only going to put on the face
Right.
of things. Things are wonderful, these sorts of things, but that intuitively he's tapped into that this town is hurting,
Yeah.
and it's kind of on its last legs.
And
They're
he
trying to hold on.
Yeah, he doesn't want them to give up hope.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't want them to give up hope, so on and so forth, and that we're just going to keep on with things, as they are. And then we kind of go to the picnic,
Hmm.
um, and we find out that we're talking about Annabeth Gish, and she's got a partner, so on and so forth, and you wouldn't be aware of this without knowing it, but when she's talking to her partner, or whoever it is that she's
Hmm.
talking to, she says that Monsignor Pruitt used to look at me the same way that
Hmm.
Father Paul is looking at us right now. It's like he
Despairing.
knows,
Yeah.
these sorts of things.
Hmm.
Um, we also get into the death of the dog,
Yeah.
which is a rough scene.
It was, and
The
I,
dog named Pike.
I, yeah, I like that scene when he said, when Sharif comes and he says the dog, and he's quickly corrected. Pike. His name was Pike. But I honestly, because it's this get together, that it's this potluck, it's this picnic, I didn't expect anything to happen, at least at this moment. But Flanagan does a really good job. It's this happy-go-lucky time. You just see someone, you know, put a plate down and the dog's just eating a hot dog. It's just an everyday thing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Everybody has given a dog table scraps.
of course.
And then, I mean, you got Joe, he's just drinking himself, he's all by himself. He's got all the tickets. He's right next to the keg. And then suddenly you just hear this blood-curdling wail. You know what I mean? And I feel really bad for this guy, especially when we see his living conditions.
Yeah,
Pike was literally all he had.
yeah, yeah. He lived.
It's so
He's
heartbreaking.
living
And
in a trailer.
this
He,
actor is so good.
yeah,
The acting in this is top notch. Whether my favorite so far are the act is Joe and Beverly, acting wise, because they are it's lightning. They're hitting all the buttons with what you want.
yeah.
Flanagan wants you to feel.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, for me, infuriating that it's so obvious that Beverly has poisoned a dog, a defenseless dog. It's just such an evil thing to do.
Absolutely.
And you've got this person who is this, sort of, church official, whether it's, as an administrator or whatever, but just this, this cruel sort of thing that she's done.
Yep.
And, the absolute lack of remorse. And I mean,
yeah,
it's the clear sign of a psychopath to me.
Oh yeah.
Just the absolute lack of remorse, or acknowledgement that she's done something wrong. Just in her mind, it's right, and that's it. So you're clearly dealing with a psychopath,
and she'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because you couldn't convince her on any level that she's actually done something wrong, and it's awful to watch.
And that's what we've said here, and I've said it on other channels. That's what makes, for lack of a better term with her so far, we're only 2 episodes in, that's what makes a good villain, when they believe they're doing the right thing in their own mind. She believes she's done nothing wrong. She's done the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we come back and we find out that we've got this idea or this visit from the sheriff, and he comes to check in on her. And I think he also, even though he can't prove it, he's come in to let her know that he's aware.
Yeah, he's watching her.
Yeah, that, I know exactly what you did. We're not going to have that specific conversation, but yeah, I know exactly what you've done here, and I'm completely on to you.
Yeah, again, it's these good performances. His body language says it all. Just the way he's standing, just staring right at her, and he can tell she's full of shit, but he knows she's guilty. He can't prove it, but he knows.
No, and he wants her to know that he's completely aware, and that I think that the usual whatever that gets her out of things among locals doesn't necessarily have the same kind of effect on him.
Right, because you made a good point earlier when you mentioned that he's a former New York cop. So this is every day. A dog was poisoned. Okay, it's Thursday. You know what I mean? This isn't some.
He's not bullied by her.
Right.
He can't prove it, but he's not bullied by her.
I've seen stuff that will make you cry. On my lunch break type of guy.
Yeah. So it's just okay. We got to write this one off. I don't like it, but we got to write this one off. But
next time. Yep.
Yeah, this is a warning shot. This conversation is a warning shot. Shot over the bow.
Yeah.
Get your shit together. One of the things that I also liked about this episode was that the use of hymns, the use of religious hymns as the score. I just thought they were so effective. I loved them. That's just my thing. Maybe you didn't feel the same, but it's just so unusual. Because you usually will have a creepy score, or something very tense, or and it's not that. It's this very pretty. Sort of ecclesiastical sort of thing going on, and you're just like, it's distressing.
Yeah, you need that, but it also, it does, but it feels like it doesn't belong. You know what I mean? It does belong with the religious themes, but it doesn't from where it seems like we're going to go. Like maybe a little off-putting. I don't know if off-putting is the right term, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely correct. We end up going to the AA meetings that Riley is, required to attend as a condition of his parole, so on and so forth, with Father Paul. And I think for the first time, Riley gets an opportunity to vent
Yes.
his frustrations. What did he have to say to you? What was it that what did you think?
I liked this scene a lot. This scene a lot. First off, I always like these type of scenes in any type of movie or TV show where it's kind of like someone's challenging faith. I like, whether it's, let's say, lack of a better term, Pet Cemetery, just because you
Oh
have
no, not that
no,
one.
no, 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 no. Okay, hold on, hold
Anyone
on.
but that one,
I
please.
know. That's why I said hold on. It's a doctor. There's themes about God, but then there's a man who works in the medical field. So you got science versus faith. That's what I mean. And then I like how Riley brought up. I don't know what he called it, but he had his way of looking at um, beating the need to have
uh,
alcohol.
yeah, being your own higher power, like
Right.
looking at the thoughts. I forget what they called it. Yeah, it's a specific psychological,
Mm.
methodology.
But what I also liked is I liked how the priest he he was listening. He was very very nice and everything, but he wasn't afraid to kind of point things out. Well, I've been sober for 8 years. Well, you don't get much alcohol in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah,
But again, the acting is just so good. They're playing off each other so well. And
yeah,
what I like is how Riley's just venting and venting, and he's getting angrier and angrier, and he's starting to drop f-bombs, and Father's just listening. You know what I
yeah.
mean? He's not looking down on him. He
No,
looks very sympathetic, like that shot you have right there. He looks pained hearing the story.
yeah.
And like I said, so I don't know. This is what I mean when I said earlier in this video is at first, it's stranger on the island, stuff's going to happen. I thought, as of right now, Father was going to be a bad guy in the first episode. This episode, I've done a 180, and he seems like he is a beacon of hope. He's here to help. Whether I'm right or not, we'll find out. But that's what I meant by I have totally changed my opinion on some characters.
I think Riley's frustration is that he can't understand where God is
Yeah,
and
he.
all of these awful things that have
Mhm,
happened and all of these awful things that he has done.
mhm.
Why has God allowed these things to happen?
And it goes back to
Which is
when
a very common question.
it is, and it goes back to the very first scene in the very first episode where the paramedic is saying,
Yes.
what kind of God would allow an 18-year-old girl to die, but let some drunk driving fucker live?
Yeah.
You know what I
Live with
mean?
with a couple of scratches.
Exactly.
Just got out of it completely with a couple of scratches, but the young girl. And so, Father Paul's response to this is that God can take the worst things that you've done
Mm-hmm.
and turn them into something good,
Mm-hmm.
um, that you can't see at the time.
Right.
You know, um, and, and I suppose that's the whole purpose of faith,
Mm-hmm.
to believe
Right.
that, this awful thing that has happened to Riley may later serve some purpose,
Right.
for good, which is exactly what Riley does not want to hear.
Right. He doesn't believe it.
He wants something. Yeah, he wants something extraordinarily concrete,
Mm-hmm.
to let him know that, okay, this happened and now this is going to happen, and there is nothing like that for him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no firm ground for him to step on. And we
Right.
talked about that last week, where he talked about how there seems to be no purpose for him being there.
Mm-hmm.
His family doesn't want him there. His father doesn't want him there. He has no job. He
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do every day, all day.
And that's a good point. Again, you just said, he feels like he has no purpose. I liked how he wanted to go fishing with his dad. And
Yes.
he said something, I don't remember the exact line, but he basically said, I don't want to just stand here doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then whether whether it was true or not, but maybe he chiseled a little bit off of Henry Thomas because you could tell he didn't want him there. But he looks at him, he's like, well, you're going to need new boots. I'll see if I have some type of thing.
Yeah.
And he still didn't want his help when you could tell like he couldn't lift up that cage of crabs, and Riley wanted to help him. And there's still that block between the two of them, at least on Henry Thomas's side, that he doesn't really want Riley there type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, that's a common thing, among fathers and sons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fathers don't want to necessarily admit that they're at the point where, they're not physically as able as they once were.
Right.
You don't want to alter the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So, dad's up here, son's down there, the kid's down there. And then slowly as they get older, it flips.
Mm-hmm.
Except that, the parents don't necessarily want to admit that.
Correct.
And so, it becomes this awkward kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my impression was that was part of it. It wasn't necessarily because it was Riley. Okay. It was just dad wanting to say, okay, I can still lift it. Just leave me be. I'm not saying that I'm right.
Okay.
I'm just saying that, that's my interpretation of it. So we also get to a scene in it that the local pot dealer, the local weed dealer.
Oh, this was a great scene.
Yeah, something happens to him. And what did you think it was?
Well, first off, I loved how, like, you could already tell, like, I love the scene back where he's helping Joe with the generator and stuff like that, and Sharif's basically telling him, to bugger off. But I love how he's just he hears an echo. Something is it saying exactly what he's saying, and of course we dumb people, we got to go investigate.
Yep.
And again, what I love is you mentioned it last episode. We just see two glowing eyes. That's all we see. And then we see something. And what I love is something pounces on him. You don't know what it is, a werewolf, a Bigfoot, neither, you know what I mean? And what I love is you just see his fucking hat shoot out the door. No blood, no nothing. Just, it says, it makes its point. You know what I mean? This kid is gone, over with. And it's good buildup because we already know something's out there because something was grabbing those fucking cats.
Yeah, and it's kind of this peripheral kind of thing that's happening, and you're just like, what the fuck? Outside of the standard sphere of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this other thing like way out there, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So because nothing that has happened within the parameters of the standard story is paranormal.
No. This is the first time, because even like I said, I'm going in blind. I kind of knew it wasn't going to be there was something supernatural or monstrous with this dude of, Flanagan, but anything could have grabbed that one cat in episode 1. Now we know we're definitely dealing with something else, but we don't know because it's dark and it's quick like that.
Yeah, and as soon as it's on, it's over.
Mm-hmm. No struggle, no nothing.
But you also got a beach full of dead cats.
Yep.
And now you've got maybe the first person in the town that's been got.
Yep.
More will be revealed. So we come to the final scene, and we're at another mass. Father Paul is there offering the Eucharist, and he challenges Lisa to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
But not in the way that, you would think, person in a wheelchair. He challenges her to stand up and come up the stairs.
Yeah, and at first he didn't do the stairs. At first he just stood, and he was going to make her do it, and then she was giving, them giving a look. And he kept saying, body of Christ, come get it, basically. Parents
Yeah.
are giving him, or mom was giving him a look. And then I think she started to wheel up to him, is what
Yeah.
it was. That's when he went up the stairs. Like, no, I'm proving a point. You're not going to get that wheelchair up here. So now
Right.
I am going to make you come get it.
Yeah. You're going to have to believe
Yeah.
that, this is, the effort you're going to have to put forth. And this is my interpretation of it, of course, that this is the effort you're going to have to put forth for, the sacrament, for the body of Christ. And she stands up out of the chair.
That was a holy shit moment. I mean,
yeah,
I kind of figured it was going to happen, but you never really know with this type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it was for me. I mean, I like Lisa. We don't know too much about her, but she's likable. For me, it was kind of like a fist pumping moment. You're happy that it happened. You're
absolutely happy. Yeah.
And that's what made me again. That's another reason why now I know something's up with Father Paul, but I still think as of right now he's a good guy.
Okay. I am not going to reveal anything one way or the other.
No problem.
But I remember watching that second episode for the first time, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened here? Did she just literally get up out of that chair?" And it's Mike Flanagan, so those stones will be turned over and explained. But that's basically how episode 2 ends. From dead cats on the beach to Lisa rising up out of her wheelchair to receive the body of Christ.
And that's kind of cool. You start with this really macabre, disgusting image to this really sweet and full of faith and heartwarming image. So I like those two bookends are the complete opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a hell of a show.
It is so fun.
I can't even convey to you how good this show is. I mean, you're watching 2 episodes in, and I feel like, I guess the most that I can say is that the show hasn't even started yet.
And the thing is, I've done so many of these podcasts with you, episodes with you, and basically my style is it's usually a group of us, and I pick my time to say a comment or my thoughts or this and that. I think you could tell these past 2 episodes I'm very animated discussing this show because I'm very into it. I'm very excited to see where the hell we're going. And I was teasing you last night during the episodes when we were, last night's episode, calling you a dick and stuff like this, making me wait a week. Yeah. But I like that because that's the anticipation now. Now I'm ready for Thursday.
There is a purpose to this methodology. In that, like with what we're doing with Penny Dreadful, if you keep it segmented, then there is only that singular piece of content to focus on.
Yep.
And it's a hell of a piece of content.
Yeah.
Every single time. So yeah, I mean, this is a spectacular show. And I keep asking you questions because you seeing it for the first time, although me seeing it for the second time in 3 years, many aspects. I mean, I understand what's going to happen generally,
right?
But many of the small parts I'm revisiting again for the second time, and I've kind of been forgetful of them. So I'm enjoying it again as well.
Yeah, I'm so far both episodes, and again, everyone keeps telling me it's a slow burn. I haven't had any problems at all these first 2 episodes.
Man, it's not Scream 6. I get it. Jesus. I get it. It's not Scream 6. It's not Scream 6. It's not Halloween Kills.
All I'm gonna say
I
is
get it. I get it.
all I'm gonna say is
nobody's living in a sewer for 4 years,
Scream 6, all I will say about Scream 6 is I did not pay for it and I got my money's worth.
I was going to say, if you did go to the theater to go to see that, at least you could have like bought a ticket for something else and then gone in and seen it that way. But
no, I let's just say I came across it and I got my money's worth. We'll leave it at that.
It's the investment of time that troubles me, but
yeah,
that's just me. So we'll be back next week.
I can't wait, dude. I'm excited.
Episode 3.
Yeah.
You know what Gore is doing, and he is waiting till after, like, say you do this stream. Then he'll go right into episode 3. And he'll only tackle episode 3. And then right before we go on again, he'll watch it one more time. But if you're waiting specifically right before we go on, that is a wait.
But you know what? It's like I said before, it's like growing up. You always had to wait once a week to watch your favorite shows. It's just, so far this show is just so fucking good. You know what I mean? I'm excited to watch it and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it literally has not even begun yet.
That's good to hear.
We're going to go places that you just won't fucking believe.
How many episodes is it? 7?
7.
Okay.
So we're 2 episodes in, and it really hasn't even begun yet. You're seeing these microscopic little pieces yet. Couldn't be more excited for you to be watching this again for the first time. All right. So, was there anything about this episode that you wanted to address that we did not get into? We're not rating this. It's not a movie.
Not really. It's just like the main thing I wanted to say, I already did, is the acting is so good. Whether it's, Riley is so good. I love the actor who plays Sharif. You know what I mean? With his body language. And Beverly, like I said, she is one of, like, I don't condone violence against women, but someone just needs to fucking slap her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's to her talent as an actress. And then again with Joe, he is this pathetic. Now he's like, he's on his own. His life is over. And you could have just thinking like I said he was like last week. I said he was Otis. You know what I mean? The drunk. He's always in the drunk tank. He's pathetic. He's a loser. But the way he acted towards losing his dog, you didn't feel sorry for him for the fact that he was a loser. You know what I mean? You felt sorry for him because he lost his best friend. Yeah. And we didn't mention it. I love the scene where he's at the trailer and Sharif is talking to him, and the anger in his voice towards Beverly, and then Sharif was like, "No, you're right. I know her. I get it," type of thing. So just powerful performances with just a lot of the time. If you notice it in this episode, at least 9 times out of 10, these scenes, it's just 2 people talking to each other back and forth.
And it's all extraordinarily low key.
Yes.
There's no big over the top performances. I won't say anything else.
Okay.
It's just extraordinarily low key because I don't want to give too much away. All right, so plug something. What's coming up?
Hey, Internet
Underworld.
Air Care. Hey, I'm getting to it this weekend. Hey, Internet Air Care is my YouTube channel. I will at least watch the first Underworld movie, and
that's big of you.
Hey, I've been so busy, but I will have at least 1 or 2 videos on my channel next week, Underworld 1 and Underworld 2, and I'm going through all 5 movies.
All right, that sounds damn good to me. I mean, I've been waiting for these for a little while now. We've been talking about it for a couple of months. So those are just great movies.
I can't wait. Like I said, I've seen the first 3. I remember I think of those 3, it's been years, but of those 3, I think I remember enjoying the prequel the most. But
Rise of the Lycans, really?
Yeah. But then again, it's Kate Beckinsale in hot leather, tight leather, killing a bunch of fucking werewolves. Can't
I
go
don't
wrong.
think she's even in the third one.
She's not. Yeah, I do
She's
remember.
not. It's Michael Sheen.
Yep, it's all the prequel, and then it ends with her on the top of the building, which is how the first movie starts.
Okay.
But they use the same footage, so technically, there's no new Kate Beckinsale footage.
Okay. Right,
but I'm excited.
Yeah. It's good stuff. It's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We will be back on Sunday. Taking a look at episode 2 of Penny Dreadful with the Agoraphobe. Seance. Second episode of the first season, so we're very much looking forward to that. Gore is struggling with his family, who can't understand why they can't binge the whole season. But every man has his struggles, so that's something he's going to have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
We will be back next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
With Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning. And I'm very much looking forward to that. It looks like you and Bill will be here for that.
Okay.
And then we'll be back next Thursday with episode 3 of
Can't wait.
Midnight Mass. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. All right, so my thanks to you once again, Eric from Hey Internet Eric here. We've gone a little further than we did the last time. I can't wait until things actually start to blow up, and then we start to get into those things. But we'll be back next week, and until then, everybody, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.